Hi, thanks for joining the webinar today. We are so glad to have you with us. My name is Alexandra Alvarado. I'm the Director of Marketing and Education here at the American Apartment Owners Association. And we are really excited to have with us the Azibo team that's going to go over a really useful financial platform that I think a lot of landlords are starting to use. And they're going to of streamlining your property management software and your property management processes if you don't already. But before we begin, I just want to go over a few things. We will be sending all of you the full recording tomorrow by the end of the day, as well as Azibo's content, so you can follow up with them if you need to. And we'll also have about a patient, 60 minutes with Q&A included in that. So keep your questions or put them in the question box if you have any throughout the presentation, and we'll address them. And I'd also like to give a brief introduction for our wonderful speakers today. We have Leah with us and Caleb, and let me pull up their info here. So Caleb is the Director of Product Marketing at Azibo. He oversees product marketing, and prior to joining Azibo, he held product marketing positions at various tech companies, including BlockFi, Expedia, and PushPay. Leah McGree is Head of Customer Success at Azibo, and she also supports Azibo's risk operations, payment operations, and escalations. Prior to joining Azibo, Leah was an account manager at Brondell. So thank you guys so much for coming on and talking with our group today. We are so happy to have you. I'm going to have Caleb start off the presentation, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having us, Alexandra. And welcome. We're really excited to share with you a little bit more about how to choose the right landlord management platform for your rental portfolio. So thank you for the introductions. I will just skip back to this, but I will do a quick just kind of overview of some of the considerations that you want to think about when and the benefits of what a rental platform should give you. We're going to talk a little bit about the core elements that you want to think about when considering a landlord management platform if you are not currently on one. And then Leah, our amazing Head of Customer Success, she's really going to show you specifically what some of those things look like in real life on our platform. And if you want, we will have some time for questions at the end, but also feel free to put it into not the chat section, but the Q&A section of the Zoom link. So just to give some kind of macro rental industry context, obviously the housing market conditions are in flux and really have been for the past 6 to 9 months. So high sales prices were giving rental owners a reason to sell their properties or if they were considering it, but it also has prevented some investors from acquiring new rentals at the ideal pace that they wanted to or the price point. Secondly, margins can be tight, and the cost of operating a rental property has risen a little bit recently. Part of that is due to inflation and some of the supply chain abnormalities, which has driven up some maintenance prices and has also motivated some owners to possibly raise rents to shore up their rental income, which really brings us to the next bullet, which is rental affordability is really top of mind for a lot of tenants. And so there's been really strong demand for a limited supply of really rentals, especially in the mid price, which continues to really to push then those rental prices up, which are kind of overloading some rentals that might be dealing with some of the inflation and maybe pandemic induced financial struggles. So and this really leads to the fourth kind of macro trend that we've seen, which is really the rise of the landlord management platform. So giving an integrated and all-encompassing tools to landlords to run and manage their business on their own. So at Azibo, we really think about how do we give power to the DIY or independent landlord, right? Rental properties are a great way to generate income, as all of you know, or you would have gotten into it, but it can also just be a lot of work, from finding and screening tenants to managing rent collection and the expenses, and then the turnover of units to then find another. There's just really a lot to keep up with. So for example, we have our rental property owner here. This kind of looks a lot like our DIY landlords that we see that they come to us, right? You might have one single family residence that he's renting out in his hometown. They might have a fourplex that might be 2 hours away and maybe 3 apartments in a state over. And so their day-to-day obviously involves wearing a lot of different hats that you can see on the right. And, you know, first and foremost, right, they are running their entire life cycle of the properties from, you know, finding tenants in to moving them in to the day-to-day operation, then finally like offboarding. And so they need to keep track of all that. And obviously these are some of the things, right? So rental properties, like we talked about, great way to generate income, but it can also be a little bit of a hassle, right? You know, these are all the things you have to think about. And on top of that, the tools for managing your business are fragmented, right? We see a lot of landlords that are taking rent collection and, you know, maybe one tenant is giving it via, you know, PayPal or Venmo, and another one of the units is doing it by bank deposit. Another one's doing it by, you know, paper check that's getting dropped off to their mailbox. And so on top of that, then they are working in text and emails for, you know, maybe a mix of paper applications that they're taking. Then they're using another service for background checks, and then they're trying to manage their, you know, deposits they collected in a spreadsheet. They're counting in bookkeeping and QuickBooks, right? Like all this is very fragmented and is in a variety of different tools, which can be really hard to keep track of everything all at once. So enter Azibo, right? You know, and I think one of the first things you want to think about with a rental management platform is it really should, it unifies and helps property owners save time and money by consolidating their business tools into one convenient place. And really the key portions is really tying together that property management, the financial management, the tenant experience. And by tying all those together, you get really robust reporting and insights, and laying obviously like the rent collection and bill pay and payments on top of that is really helpful. So our goal is really to be empowering rental property owners to self-manage more easily, allowing you to save money on those, you know, not having to use a property manager, saving money on those property manager fees, et cetera. So having everything you need to run your rentals in one platform means a couple things, but not only are you saving time and the headache and hassle of kind of managing across, you know, multiple tools, but it also means that your data is consolidated from the beginning. So really like from when a tenant first applies to your unit to when they're moving out and you are, you know, hopefully returning a deposit to them, all that data, the documents and financials are all unified, which gives you really powerful and clean reporting and insights. What you should really be considering is consolidating your tools to run your business more holistically, right? So a good rental management property will let you consolidate everything into one place. And so I think the first thing to look at and consider would be the ability to really automate your workflows for efficiency and profitability, right? So with features like tenant applications, to be able to screening those tenants, to creating digital leases and a way for them to e-sign directly on the phone. From that moment that you find the right tenant from to all your units till that they have paid the deposit and now they're auto paying rent, you're able to manage and track everything from that one single location by property unit tenant. Second is really the financial management piece, and really specifically built for rental owners and landlords. That is a key component of the right rental management platform. Being able to consolidate your finances allows you to automatically, you know, track and split transactions as they happen. You can set up bill pays and track expenses in that same platform. So it reduces the amount of tools and time and headache that you need to spend reconciling your books at the end of each month and year. And then finally, since a rental property is built specifically for your business, the right platform like Azibo will have a powerful reporting and accounting tools for you that give you that real-time snapshot of your financial health of your business, as well as all the CPA approved accounting reports to make your tax season hopefully as painless as possible. And then again, we really started thinking about tenant experience at Azibo, and we believe in a highly competitive market, tenant experience really matters. And so it's really important to you and to property owners because it helps you, at the end of the day, it really helps you earn more money. And the way that we are defining tenant experience is the way that tenants feel about, you know, their rental unit, their landlord, and the overall rental process. And so a positive tenant experience leads to increased, tenant retention, which is really key to your bottom line, right? Retaining your tenants means that landlords, you no longer have to spend money on marketing and advertising to fill vacant units as often. You also don't have to deal with the hassle and expense of that tenant turnover. And then in addition, really happy tenants equals happy landlords, right? So they're more likely to take care of the rental unit and to pay the rent on time, which further adds to your bottom line. So a positive tenant experience is really good for your business and should lead you to increase, profits and I think just peace of mind overall for your units. And so how we think about tenant experience at Azibo and where we started, and we're continuing to add more features here, which is really giving renters a way to boost their credit when they make on-time rent payments. And so we will report those to the credit bureau so that they can actually boost their credit and build a healthy credit score for those on-time payments. We offer renters insurance right through the Azibo platform. So for Landlord First, if you want to require renters insurance, you can require that so that they can purchase directly through there, or for a renter that is in a platform or a unit that you do not require renters insurance, they can still able to purchase really competitive and really well covered insurance through the Azibo platform. And again, it's giving them different options for how they pay the rent. So they can do a direct ACH transfer directly to you or their landlord, or they also have options to do it via debit card or credit card if they want it. So being able to set up auto pays, give them different options or different ways to pay, we found helped make the tenant experience really helpful. And again, we believe that really should help lead you to have a better obviously peace of mind and increase profits for your units. So I'm going to actually kick this over now to Leah, but I think first she's going to take us a deep dive for what this looks like in the actual Azibo platform. But I think first Alexandra is going to post a few questions for us to kind of get the conversation started. So the first one is, oh, go ahead, Leah.
Just wanted to let you know the poll question is up. You can go ahead.
Awesome. So the first one is, how many units do you currently own and or manage?
All right. I'm going to give it like 30 seconds here. So put in your answers pretty quickly and I'll show you the results. It's pretty evenly split. Let's give it a few more seconds here. All right, let's see the results. You guys able to see that on your end?
Yeah. Yes, this looks very in line with kind of what the Azibo breakdown for what a lot of our landlords, how many units they're managing.
I'm curious, for the 10 plus, are there any with like 50 plus?
Yeah, if any of you have 50 or more units, go ahead and comment in the chat about that so we can tailor some of this presentation towards you. We want to make sure we can, apply all this good stuff for wherever you're at in your portfolio growth. All right. Do you want me to go on with the next question in the meantime, Caleb?
Yeah, I think that's great.
All right. Next question. My apologies. I did not have the chat on, so it is on now. So if you guys can comment in there, it will allow you to chat with everyone if you have over 50 units. So far, nobody has put it in the chat, but we'll see. And then, oh, Angela has over 50. Hi, Angela. Welcome. And I'll go ahead and Carolyn's on here. Great. Nice.
Wow.
All right. So do you currently use any software? So we have a interesting number here. So see if you guys can see that.
Yep, so about 80-20, 80% unmanaged and 20% are using some sort of property management software. Great, well, super helpful for us to be able to tailor this conversation to this. I'll kick it over to Leah to show us what this looks like in the Azibo platform.
Okay, you guys can see my screen? Yes?
Yep.
Great. Okay, hi, thank you, Caleb. That was beautifully spoken. So hi, welcome to Azibo. I'm just going to cover a couple of the baseline things first. Azibo is 100% free. It's a free service, free platform for landlords, and it's also free for renters when they make their payments with ACH, meaning a bank account. Renters do have the option to make payments with a debit or credit card, and there's a small fee associated with that. But aside from those things, it's completely free. So all of these tools that I'm going to show you today are available for free for you to test out and play around with to see if you like it. So here, this is a fully populated account. I have at least 8 properties on this account and multiple bank accounts associated with those properties. On my main dashboard, I have an overview of things that are top of mind for me as a landlord. So I can see how many rent payments are overdue for this month and who has paid their rent. I have an overview of my monthly cash flow, so I can see that I had quite a few expenses in March related to my property taxes, and then I had an increase in income in October because I acquired more rental units. I can see that I have units that are vacant and needing to be filled, and I can quickly go start inviting applicants to those units. And we'll dive into that a little more later. I can see an overview of all of the bank accounts that I've linked. So this is one of my favorite aspects of Azibo, is that I can link many bank accounts and I can see all of the transaction details and balances of those accounts in one place. And we will cover transaction, categorization, splitting, and property assignment a bit later. I also have a pretty simple cash flow chart, and this is going to show me where my major expenses were, and then I can dive into each of these by clicking the arrow. Okay, great. So that's my overview on my main dashboard. I'm going to start with banking and finances. Azibo does offer a business checking account totally free. It's optional, but there are some great tools that open up to you when you have an Azibo checking account. First, it's a 1% cashback debit card. It's interest bearing. You have access to mobile check deposit, online bill payments via check and ACH. You can also do wires. So the Azibo checking account is fantastic because then I can send money directly to my renters to return security deposits, or I can use the bill pay tools to pay my vendors for repairs or disperse funds across my business partners. I can also transfer money to and from various accounts from this platform. Inside each account, I can see the transactions. Right now I'm looking at every transaction associated with all my accounts, but I can also filter if I want to look at a specific bank account. And from here, I can designate these transactions to Schedule E tax categories and also assign them to properties. And all of this data that you input can be exported into Schedule E tax preparation reports and other cash flow, profit loss charts, and so on. You can also do an export of your transactions if you just want an Excel style format that you could upload into QuickBooks if you're married to QuickBooks. With the transaction management tools, we also have splitting, so you can get very granular with where what this transaction was for. So I could split this between properties, I can split it between different Schedule E tax categories, and I can also add a memo to give me more insight. You can split transactions as many times as you want to, so you can get incredibly granular with your accounting. And now I have two. For all of the categories, properties, assignments, and so on, you can filter, so you can look at different time frames. We try to give you as much flexibility here as possible. You can also manually add transactions if you have an expense that's not related to a linked bank account here. You can input those just to keep things organized and to use the tools on the platform. With my Azibo bank account, like I said, there are some great tools available to you, including transferring mobile check deposit and bill pay. I'm going to show you real quick how to use the bill pay tools. Here I can choose the amount that I'm sending and which bank account I'd like to send it from. I'll choose my recipient. So in this case, I'm paying John, a plumber, and here's his mailing address. If I need to edit that, I can. I'm going to go ahead and link this to 100 West 2nd Street. And this is going to be under the category of repairs, appliance repairs. And the memo will show on the check. So this is repair for 100 West. And now I choose how I want my recipient to receive this payment. In this case, I like to send my plumber a check, but I can also do an instant bank transfer if I have their routing and account numbers. Soon we'll have recipient choice, where your recipient will be able to choose if they want the payment via check or via direct deposit into their account. So I'm going to send a check. If I'm using the bill pay tools, I can schedule how often I want to have this payment go out. Same for transfers. In this case, it's just a one-time payment. I overview and send the payment. So now my plumber, John, is going to get that check within 7 days. And then under my outgoing payments, I'll see that I have the check that I just sent to John, the plumber, and I can keep track of it here. So it's pending because he has not yet cashed it. I can also review all of the scheduled payments. Whoops. Oh, apologies. Let me log in again. Are there any questions, Mike, that we want to cover while we have a small moment?
I've been able to answer all the questions. If there are any follow-up questions, happy to.
Okay, perfect. Please feel free to interrupt me at any time. So yeah, like Caleb was saying, this is a unified tool designed to be the one-stop shop for independent landlords. We're trying to give you everything you might need to do in one place. All right, moving away from banking, finances, and bill payment capabilities, I want to share with you properties, online rent collection, and how to manage that. There are great things under the properties and portfolios. So when I set up my account, I can add as many properties and units as I would like to, and then I can organize them into different portfolios. So this is my portfolio with my property, 700 West Street, but I also have some short-term rentals that I like to segregate into this portfolio, just so I can have an overview of how my short-term rentals are doing. And then I also have properties related to an LLC that I have a business partner for this LLC, and I can share this portfolio with my business partner. I can share viewing access or banking access, so they will be able to see how the properties are doing, if the rent has been paid, when vacancies are coming up, and so on. So I really like the sharing tools because I do have some other involved parties in here. With my properties, you can use the filtering tools to look at a specific one. I'm going to show you this property. For every property, I can designate a specific rent receiving and or security deposit receiving account, meaning this can be external or an Azibo bank account. So when my renters submit payments, those payments will go directly into the designated bank account within 2 to 3 business days. So our payment timing is also fast. Most people do keep their rent, income, and security deposits separate. So you have every option to do that. So I'm going to choose my Chase business checking account, and then I'm going to choose my security deposit account here, and then payments will route directly into those accounts. So it helps me keep my finances separate and clean. I have a vacant unit, and I'm going to show you how to invite a tenant and set up payment terms. So in this unit, I'm adding my tenant, and I'm pretty much setting up the lease for this renter. So I like to make the start date usually like the first of when I'm going to onboard my renters onto Azibo. And then typically I do month to month, but if you have an end date, you can set the end date. Rent is going to be due on the 5th of the month. Everything is customizable, so you can really make this match your lease. If you have a reoccurring payment like parking, which I do, you can add that line item too. I do have automatic late fees, so you can enforce automatic late fees on Azibo very easily. And we have a couple configurations for the late fee. So you can have it late if it's not sent by the 5th, or late if it's not received by the 10th. So I'm gonna be pretty flexible here. If it's not sent 5 days after the due date, I do want them to pay a late fee. I can enable partial rent payments. If you do support partial rent payments to give your renters some flexibility, you can choose to enable that on the payment terms or on a specific invoice. So if you want to be flexible 1 month, then you can make that choice. I'm going to have my minimum payment $200. And then for the security deposit, I do still need to collect this from this renter, and I'm going to have that due on the 15th. If you are in a state where you need to keep track of the interest rate for security deposits that are held, you can track that on the Azibo system. Okay. Great. And then for renters insurance, I do require renters insurance. If you don't require renters insurance, you can toggle that off. I do. What this is going to do is it's going to show my renter that their landlord does require renters insurance, and it's going to encourage them to upload their policy information, or they can purchase renters insurance directly through Azibo. And like Caleb said, we do offer competitive prices and good coverage. So I set up my payment terms, and now I'm inviting my tenant. To invite my renter, I just need a first and a last name, an email address, and or a phone number. So my renter is going to get an invitation link via email and text, and they're going to use that link to create their secure account and then make payments to you. This is what the invite looks like via email. It's giving them a preview of their payment terms and a link to make their account. And then I think we have a text. This is what the text message will look like. Again, so-and-so has invited you to pay rent for this unit. Go ahead and click here to get started. Okay, so I'm going to invite this renter, and then I will show you the invoices that are being created based on this. So like I said, they have a unique invitation link via email and text. If you do want to copy this and send it to them directly via a different method, you're welcome to do so, but they get the invite. Okay, so I just got my renter onboarded into that unit. Let me go back. Here they are. Okay, so inside of my unit, I can now see that it is occupied by this renter, and then I have a preview of the invoices that my renter will be paying. So I see the security deposit is still due, and then rent was due 1 day ago. So if I need to, I can expand this invoice and I can send them a reminder letting them know that rent is overdue. I can also edit the rent amount on specific invoices if I need to, if something's changed. or I want to give them a discount, I can edit this, and then I can also record a payment manually. So if this renter does send me a check before they onboard, I can go ahead and mark this as paid, record how they paid me, and then just make a note. And now my invoice is paid. So the renter will no longer see an overdue invoice, but they'll see a paid invoice. I can also export the payments that I see here. So after I get more of a payment history, I can export this specific renter's payment history if I want to keep a hard copy in Excel. What else to cover? If I do have a lease expiring soon, I can go ahead and invite my next renter to this unit and get them onboarded. If this unit was vacant, I could, there we go. I could turn on that I'm accepting applicants for this unit, and then I can choose that a background check is required or is not required. Applications are free to you, the landlord, and they're free to the renter. If you do want to request a background check, there's going to be a $39.99 charge to the applicant. Let me show you a preview of the application that gets returned to you. With the application invitation, I can send this to a specific person so that they can apply for this unit, or I can copy this link and post the link wherever I'm listing this available unit. So say I want to put it on Craigslist, and then any interested party could go ahead and apply. The application will come back to you looking like this. You'll have information about the renter, self-reported data about their income, rental history, rental preferences, their credit score, and employment history. They can also upload documents. So a proof of income and a government ID is required, and other things are optional, but you can let your applicants know which documents you would like them to upload, and I can download these documents. I'll see their credit score if I have requested a background check, full report of their credit history. And again, with the background check, I will see any eviction proceedings that they have had, and I will also see their criminal history. So you can see Bonnie, the applicant here, has a lot of evictions and a lot of criminal history. So for this applicant, I could decide to approve them and set up their payment terms to get them onboarded onto the Azibo platform, or I could reject the application and continue looking for a viable tenant. Since everything is editable, you can collect rent on Azibo for commercial properties and for residential properties. You can really make this work for any type of monthly invoicing. Okay, fantastic. Going back, there are the incoming payments. So I have at least 10 tenants at this time, and under my incoming payment section, that's where I spend most of my time, because this is showing me all of the invoices for this month and who has paid, what the status of these payments are, and what's still due. So I'm typically most concerned about the invoices that have not been paid. So I can sort them or filter by a status and see that this was due 5 days ago, and I'm going to send my renter a reminder that their rent is due. On the invoices that are paid, I can see when my renter paid, when that posted to my bank account, which bank account I posted into. Here's the payment history. Like I said, you can filter by property or portfolio. So let me do a little better there. For the portfolio that I own in this account, I can see there are only 2 December rent invoices. I'm going to do an expansion. That's all I have. This one was partially paid. I can go ahead and record the rest of it as paid because maybe they sent me money through PayPal. Perfect. You can also filter by type of invoice. So there's rent invoices, security deposits, payment requests. With Azibo, you can send a one-time payment request if you need to charge your tenant for utilities or for like a repair or just a one-time charge. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. I'm going to request $100. I'd like it to go into my Chase business account, and I'm requesting this from Leah. The memo is going to be window repair. And then the tax category. This is optional, but I'm going to have it as supplies, and it will tag automatically the property and the unit. So here's my payment request. My tenant is now going to see this one-time payment request on their side for the window repair. On my rent dashboard or invoice dashboard, incoming payments, I can download my reconciliation report. I usually do this once a month after everybody has paid because I like to keep an Excel format hard copy version of the payment history, and that's just going to show me when everybody paid and when exactly that posted into my bank account. So it makes for easy accounting when it comes to the rent payments. But also all of these payments are going into bank accounts that I have linked to the platform, so I can see these transactions in real time posting to my bank account. So I can come in here and assign them as rent for a specific property. So it's all integrated and works well together. I can also export my payments. So an export from this page will show you everything that you're seeing here, along with when the invoices were paid, if there's a late fee, and so on. If I did have an invoice with a late fee and I wanted to cancel it, I could go ahead and cancel it at any point or turn on partial payments to allow them some flexibility for that month. We've covered a lot. For all of the renters that I invite to Azibo, they will automatically become a contact. And then same for the vendors that I input for bill payment tools. So here I see I have a tenant, Chris Bassa. They did sign up, and I can look at some basic information about them, like when they signed up, phone, email number, some invoice reviews, and if I've sent them any payments, they'll also be listed here. Under my insurance section, so for the insurance section, this is great because I have a hard time keeping everything in one place and keeping track of when my insurance policies are about to expire for my various properties. So for all the properties that you add to the platform, you can manually input your insurance policy information, or you could also upload your insurance policy document and we will pull out the data and input it for you. So here I can track which properties have coverage, what's my coverage rate, and then I can also get a quote from Azibo for free. So this property does not have insurance. So on the platform, I can get a free quote from Azibo and talk to one of our licensed insurance agents, and they can help you find the right policy and the right coverage for you. We do give you gentle reminders if your policy is about to expire, so you can stay on top of it. You can see the insurance information on this page too. My insurance is up to date. This one's expiring soon. I briefly covered sharing. I'm not sure if any of you guys have business partners, but with the sharing tools, you can share view-only access so your partner can see which units are occupied, who's paying their rent, who's late. And then you can also share banking access, and that would allow your shared party to receive payments directly into their bank account. So that would be an advisable use case for property managers who are collecting rent for many different landlords within one account. They will never be able to see your transaction or financial data, and vice versa. You won't be able to see theirs. It's all secure. On the bank account linking, you can link as many bank accounts as you need to, and those bank accounts can be associated with as many business entities as you have, or they can also be individual entities. So you only need one Azibo account to manage multiple LLCs or portfolios. I can also change my display name. So maybe I don't want my tenants to see my name, my legal first and last name. So I can adjust that to show a business display name, like so-and-so LLC. I think that's about, oh, reporting. I didn't cover reporting. So most of these reports that we offer are going to be pulling data from your transaction history based on the information that you input using the Schedule E tax categories and property assignments. So we offer a rent roll, so you can see how your properties are performing, and then you can also use that when you're selling your property. We have the Schedule E tax preparation report, which will pull you a nice Excel sheet that you can send to your accountant with everything sorted and organized by property and tax category. And then we also have the cash flow statement and the income statement to work on your profit loss and see which properties are performing and which ones are costing you quite a bit of money. And then the tenant rent reconciliation report, again, will show you exactly when your renters submitted their payments and exactly when they posted into your bank accounts. So you can just keep that on file as another form of proof of payment. I think that's all I have on the demo, but I'd be really interested in questions that everybody has.
Great. Thank you so much. That was very comprehensive. This is the first time I've gone through the Azibo platform and seen all the different features, and I am really impressed by the level of detail, especially in the reporting and the different components of like tracking literally all of the finances that are just going on in your property in one single place. It's really, really cool. So I'm going to launch a poll question while you guys are putting in questions into your Q&A here. If you would like to set up a consult with Azibo, so that would be Leah, Caleb, or Mike here, and we can set that up for you. If you say yes, I'll go ahead and connect you. We've had many questions come through question and answer, and Mike has been answering them. And so has Caleb. I see them both typing right now. There are some great questions though that I think are worth sharing with the rest of the group here that we have. So
I also, sorry, I realized
yeah,
that I didn't share the tenant experience.
Oh, that is one of the questions. Yeah,
Oh.
somebody did ask, if the tenant is like, at what point do they approve the release of their credit and background check? What does it look like on their end? Great point.
Yeah, okay, yes, let's cover the tenant experience since their tenants are the most important. We want to offer them a unified and professional experience when they're applying to a unit, making their rent payments, and giving them a clear view of their payment history. So on the tenant side of things, as I said, they get the text and email to make their account, and that account will be linked to you securely. Neither your or their banking information will be visible. Renters also get reminders that their rent is due 7 days before and 3 days before it's due. And they'll also get automatic notifications letting them know that their payment is scheduled and that their payment was successful. On the renters side of things, it's fairly simple. I just logged into my tenant account. I can see my invoices and the status of my payments. I can manually schedule a payment to happen a bit later in the month, or I can turn on auto pay, so I can set it and forget it. Renters have the option to pay their rent with a debit or credit card for a 2.99% convenience fee. They can also link their bank account securely through Plaid to make ACH payments to you, and we do recommend that. It's free. Credit Boost. Caleb covered Credit Boost a little bit. It's totally optional. Credit Boost will report on-time payments to 3 major credit bureaus, and that could positively affect their credit score. Your payment activity on Azibo would never negatively affect their credit score. So this is an optional service. I believe it's free for 1 month and then $4.99 after that. We also offer renters insurance, again, optional. They can manually upload their policy information so that you see they're covered, or they can purchase a policy directly through Azibo. Let's see, if I have auto pay turned on, I can choose which payment method I'd like to use, when I want to send it. So I'll do 2 days before the due date. And then I can see the scheduled payments that will be coming up. So I can also view the full history of my future payment schedule and make changes if I need to. If I were an applicant, I would see my application data here, and I could also export a PDF to show me all the application information that I put down along with my credit score. On payment history, I have a full overview of all of the payments that I've made on Azibo, and this will also include payments that were manually marked paid by the landlord. So they'll see these invoices were marked paid if they sent you a check. Payment methods, fairly simple. I can give my accounts a nickname, and I can add as many payment methods as I want to. If you do allow your renters to make partial payments, they could pay with different bank accounts at different times. On my notification settings, fairly simple. I can get updates and reminders that my rent is due and payment reminders. We do advise keeping payment reminders turned on. And then I can also review my payment terms. So this is going to be similar to the payment terms that you set up. It will show them what their rent is, if there are any itemized charges, when the due date is, their security deposit information, and renters insurance information. So that's about it for the tenant side. It's very simple. And then the renters insurance and credit boosts are totally optional. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I love the credit boost. That is so awesome. I think not just for the tenants, but for the landlords as well, because you're really incentivizing renters to pay their rent on time to get that boost. And to me, it's incredible that for so many years, you know, for tenants, it's the biggest payment that they make every month, and it's not even on their credit report most of the time. And I guess I actually have a question about that. If you sign them up for the credit boost and they don't pay their rent on time, does it also report a late payment on that?
No, that's the beauty of the credit boost. It will never negatively affect their credit score. We only report on things that could positively affect your credit score.
Great. Great. And Mike, I saw that you wanted to answer a question live, or maybe you've answered a couple of questions that you want to highlight. So if you want to go ahead and hop on and answer some of these questions, or maybe talk about them, I'll give you the floor.
Sure. Yeah. So one from, I believe, Basuki. So the previous responses were related to just like, you know, on our platform, you as a landlord have complete control over the lease. So that includes, you know, if it's month to month after the lease expires, or if a tenant just abruptly moves out, you can end the lease. So not necessarily terminate from a legal perspective, but from a renter's perspective of being able to pay rent on Azibo, like no, the invoices will not be generated. So there's a separate legal question, but just technically, can a renter pay rent on our platform? The answer is only if there's an active lease that's created and that's still in, you know, good standing, or, you know, within the time period that's specified.
Yeah,
so
and I saw Basuki's question, and it is true that if in most states, if you start the eviction process, like after the notice has been served and you're in the process of taking them to court, if they do pay and you accept their rent payment, yes, technically that does count as you accepting them to basically live there another month. But if you end the lease, right, when you file the eviction, then from what I understand, Mike, they wouldn't be able to pay anymore at that point. So you could just end the lease when you file an eviction report or an eviction.
Right, and you can do that.
case.
You're on the platform. And Leah, I don't know if you want to quickly show, but like you have complete control over the lease that you've created on Azibo.
That's great.
Yeah, so I did set up a set of payment terms, a lease for my renter. If something changes about this lease, I can come in and edit this at any time. And my renter will be notified that it was edited, and they'll be able to see which parts were edited. So here, I'm just gonna edit some information. Maybe I'll give them an end date because now I know when they're moving out on, oh. Okay, so now I'm giving them an end date. I'm also going to increase the rent by $500 and confirm my updates. They will also see a notification letting them know that the end date was changed and the rent amount has changed. Perfect. Back to the unit. I can also cancel an invoice. So the security deposit, if I want to waive it or remove it from their view. To prevent them from paying, I can delete it. So now it's gone. What else?
Which for Basuki, who was asking about that, that's how you would end that lease invoice. And there's just, you can just delete it out from there so that they can't physically, or they can't pay that digitally, and you can move forward with that eviction process.
Correct. Yeah, I can remove them from the unit at any point. So
That's great.
here, I'll remove my tenant. And if you remove a renter from a unit, any unpaid invoices will remain visible. If they did not pay their last month of rent, that invoice will not be deleted. So if you want to manually delete it, you can, but ideally they would finish paying their rent. It'll exist.
That's great. Michael had a really great question, switching gears here, that I do want to bring up to other people who may not have been here for the beginning of the presentation. A lot of platforms, they only focus on rent receipts and the money that's coming in. This actually tracks also the expense side. And Mike, you gave a really great answer because Michael was asking, I assume I can use the platform only for rent receipts and not for the expense side. And you replied, no, Mike. So I think that's worth bringing up to the rest of the viewers, is to just to remind them of what else it can do on the platform.
Yeah, so Leah, if you can go to the dashboard, maybe it'll be helpful for people to visualize. So if you go to the, yep. And then I think the question was, I have a, perhaps I have a few kind of LLCs, but under properties, if you can go down to MB LLC. So let's look at one, sorry, up at the top, there's a filter, the green button, all properties. Yeah, toggle that down to, yeah, that one. So if you scroll down, you can see, and all the way to the bottom, like the profit and loss, like you can export this in the reports tab. So if you want to get like an Excel download, but just like visually, you can see here, the income obviously will be tied to your rental income, any parking fees, any one-off income. Yeah, so you can see all the different line items that we built out. But underneath that, you see all the various expense items. So for those that are using property management fees, you have management fees, admin and other, mortgage. I think there's a question about CapEx. I think there's like close to 300 expense line items that map to IRS expense codes, right? So we built this intentionally such that, yeah, it's great to see kind of a dashboard. Hey, how is each one of my properties or portfolio performing from a cash flow perspective? But also year end, when you need to file your taxes, whether you do it yourself or you hand it off to a CPA, it's all there. So the task, I know this is pretty cumbersome, especially if you're owning, a lot of you guys are owning 5, 10 plus units. And so that tagging categorization is key to our platform and a core differentiator, because we have all that transaction data, some of the stuff that Leah had done in terms of sending bill payments. In that flow, you can say, hey, this is tied to this property for this expense category for this payment date, right? And so all that flows through some of these graphs that you see here on screen, but also the reporting that you can download, and then at the end of the year that you can send to your CPA to make sure that not only are your taxes getting done, but they're being done accurately.
Yeah, and I've seen quite a few different softwares, and I think usually this is their weakest link. And I think for Azibo, it's the strongest in that you do have that level of detail, which is really helpful. And also just on a day-to-day, being able to understand the health of your property, right? How it's doing. I know some landlords, they just have one massive bank account and they just look there and see if there's money. They have no idea which property is more profitable. They don't know if they're going to have a major expense coming up soon. And so it's hard to plan when you don't have this kind of look on your portfolio, and doing this kind of stuff manually is kind of insane. So I can see why a lot of landlords don't do it. I mean, without a software, having to categorize everything and put it in a spreadsheet or something, that would take forever. So this makes it so much easier. This is coming directly from the credit card transactions or the debit card or whatever bank account, right? So
yeah, so you can have it both in a Azibo bank account, or you can link your external Chase, Wells Fargo, and categorize and tag to the relevant properties.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, and that's really the strength of it is, right, is you can have multiple accounts coming into here, and as you're setting up a bill pay, maybe like a maintenance vendor request, you can tag it directly as you're paying it to a property and to a unit, and so that way you're really doing your bookkeeping as you go, rather than having to kind of consolidate it all and move it to a spreadsheet and then consolidate at the end of the month, and so you're really saving. We've just heard lots of reports that, I mean, people are saying hours of time every month, and especially at the end of the year, because really all of your bookkeeping and tagging and your accounting is happening as you go, and can be really automatically scheduled from here. So it's really helpful in that sense of being able to tie together multiple accounts and manage all from one place.
Yes, I do want to add, so all of the tools that I shared with you, yes, they work very well together to give you a one-stop financial shop for your property management, rent collection, transaction reporting. But you can also just use one part of the platform. If you just want to focus on automating rent collection, you can stick to that. Or if you want to keep track of your insurance policies for your properties, get coverage, upload your documents, and so on, you could just use that. But ideally, you can fully utilize everything just to increase your productivity, help you save time, do it all in one place instead of across multiple spreadsheets.
yeah, definitely. Angela had a good question about the calendar option. So, she had asked earlier if Azibo has a full calendar option. She says, I have 3 separate DBAs and need to see overall calendar. And then she asked if we could show what that looks like.
Yes, I wasn't 100% sure if I responded to the question correctly. So if you're looking for reports, so maybe Leah, if you go to the reports tab, you can specify what time period. So for example, if you click on income statement, this is by property, but by portfolio, you can select on the relevant one that you're looking to get insights to. And then the date range, you can do the predefined ones or have a custom range. I don't know if that answered the question. But you can select which property portfolio from which range, and the report that you're looking, so whether it's a Schedule E, cash flow, income statement, so that all can be exported readily, and you can get those insights from kind of the platform.
That's great. Okay. Yeah. And I saw a few comments about Zelle or Venmo. which is a really popular way for renters to pay rent, but it does definitely have some downsides for landlords. And I think you guys actually did an article in our newsletter about that I thought was really helpful, because I think a lot of landlords start using Zelle and Venmo and they don't really know like the consequences of that. And so I feel like it's probably a good idea to touch on that. And also, the fact that your system does ACH, which is a direct bank payment for no fee for the tenant or the landlord. So that's essentially what Zelle and Venmo does, but you're also getting a lot of, just a better integration and better system. So if any of you could touch on why Zelle or Venmo is probably not the best way to do it, I think that would help.
I can touch on that really quickly. I think that is a popular one, I think mostly because of the free nature, but really what a direct like ACH payment through here is essentially accomplishing the same thing. So when you invite you can automatically, I think what Leah's showing right now is you can record a Venmo or Zelle payment directly into Azibo. If you want to do it that way, but the benefit of inviting a tenant and the tenant paying directly from ACH, which is the same functionality as a Zelle, which is it's free to you, it's free to your tenant, so it's not costing anyone anything, so you're getting 100% of your rent that way. But it's also then it's all consolidating all of the tracking into here automatically, so you don't have to do something like what Leah was just showing you by manually adding a rent payment via Zelle or via Venmo. So for you on the accounting bookkeeping side, it's really automating it for you rather than having to then take transactions from one place and move it to another. So that's the main benefit.
Yeah. Great. Lotta is asking if you can do any sort of budgets within the system, or if maybe you don't, if you might plan to.
Yeah, currently we don't. We are expanding and beefing up our capabilities on the financial reporting side. So this obviously ties in nicely. I will say what's coming soon, and I think we'll come back to do a subsequent webinar, is we are definitely, we're partnering with a number of CPAs, leading CPAs in the space that are working with rental property owners, like many of you guys on the call, to not only beef up the existing reports, but for a lot of you guys that have ownership under LLCs, like the balance sheet is a pretty tough one to tackle and is very manual, even on the CPA side. And so we do have a plan of attack prioritization around feedback from our landlords of what kind of reporting or budgeting. And so more to come on that, but currently we do not have any budgeting tools on the platform.
Okay. Yeah, Tom is bringing up another disadvantage of using Venmo or Zelle is the 1099K, which is, yes, for payments of 600 or more, you're going to have to pay some taxes on that. So that's definitely changing soon, July 2023, where, if you have the tenant just pay through ACH, you may avoid that. And then also we have Gordon saying, rather than having the tenant set up an auto pay each month, is it possible for the landlord to set an auto monthly draft that pulls funds from the tenant's bank account monthly?
Interesting. Right now, I do not believe we support that. It would be in the tenant's control. They would link their bank account and make the payment or schedule the payment. So we don't have an auto draft. But if you have an auto draft set up externally, you will still be able to see that incoming deposit and categorize it as rent for that property, this tenant. So it would end up on your reporting.
That's a good point. Yeah. And I do think once people are set up on the auto pay, they typically stay on it, so that's one of the advantages of doing that or having that option. So Angela, going back to this calendar, she was actually referring to the calendar. She says, I have 70 units between two properties, both short and long term. I frequently need to move tenants between units or properties. I need to see an overall calendar that shows me availability. So it's more about the vacancies, being able to know which units are coming up.
That's interesting. That's a really interesting like feature request, something that we could build as an early stage tech startup. One of the benefits of our company is that we take feedback like that and build the features that you guys want to see. Right now, we don't have a calendar, although we do show you which units are vacant and give you tools to invite applicants and screen your tenants and get those filled. Mike, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say our platform is really designed for long-term rentals. So single family, multifamily apartment owners. That said, like Leah mentioned, a lot of our landlords have a variety of different type of properties, including short-term rentals. And so we do actively, we get a ton of feedback, and we definitely will raise some of the feature requests to the product team and definitely make people aware. We have a monthly product newsletter that goes out, which shares some of the things that we're working on. And then we also have an opportunity to where landlords could provide us feedback. So this is something that we'll note and bring back to the team.
Yeah, I love that, because it's like you sign up, you already think it's great, and then you just keep coming up with more awesome features that you're adding on for free, and you just, you know, get a notification about that. That's awesome. I love that. So
well, one thing I wanted to, I mean, even just along
Yeah.
those lines, Alexandra, is Carl in the chat asked if we had a tenant maintenance repair request module. I think a good example of what we're just talking about with how we're adding features is obviously, like, we're, you know, not making any promises right now, but we are actively looking at ways that we can add not only request modules, but actually being able to schedule and manage maintenance vendors within Azibo, and so that everything is again in that centralized place, and consolidating your tool set. So that is something that we're actively scoping and looking at different options of how to build right now. And so to that point is like, because it's been a requested feature, and being the startup and looking to build and how to serve landlords most effectively and efficiently. That's like one good example of how we're taking a lot of that feedback and then building that into like really good products that are useful to you all.
Right
Love
now,
it.
we're spending a lot of resources on lease generation, e-signage, and document storage. And then after that, I think we'll be addressing maintenance requests.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. Our reporting is getting a facelift soon, so that's going to be really cool. We'll be showing a live example of the report that you're about to pull, so you can go ahead and make edits. And like we said, there'll be CPA approved reports.
Nice.
yeah.
Love it. Okay, well, I mean, we've answered so many questions. Mike and Caleb, I should say, answered so many questions in the Q&A already, but they'll follow up with you if you have any questions that needed a little bit more detail. And also, I saw somebody ask, how hard is this to do? I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's not that hard. And especially when you have, you know, Leah and her team to help you, you can learn at least piece by piece. I mean, I feel like as long as you have somebody there to answer your questions, I think it's doable, and it's worth it at the end of the day. So
Yeah, getting onboarded takes, you know, less than 24 hours to get fully set up. On the woman who had 222 units, if you have a large portfolio like that, we do have bulk uploading tools to make it a little easier for you to get your full portfolio on board. And then my team is here to assist you, answer questions, help you get set up. You can schedule like a demo or a consultation with us, or you can call our customer support team just to, you know, poke around a little bit. We're really happy to help.
great. Well, with that, I think that's a great way to end it. Thank you for coming on and telling us about this. And we will be sending everyone the recording tomorrow. I'll send you the slides. Go ahead and sign up on Azibo because it's free, right? And you can test it out, try it, contact Leah's team if you want a little more info or help. And the team is here to help you. So thank you for joining us today. I will be in touch with y'all tomorrow. And thank you, Mike, Caleb, and Leah again. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.